Virgo 24, Mary and her white lamb. This is all about a child playing with an innocent animal. And it refers to the aspect of our being which bubbles up and rises in a childlike way when we are pure of spirit. In the time of our childhood, we didn't really make plans or have a lot of anxiety about the future at all, and we didn't really have a lot of nostalgia. We were in the moment, and whatever was in the moment was there for us to play with, so we could make some game up out of all sorts of bits and pieces of what was around. And the childlike innocence, the spontaneity and the creativity which is indicated by the child is so often lost, most often lost, as we become adults. And in adulthood we become industrious and perhaps ambitious, and we concern ourselves with coping with life. Now, we have to cope with life, and sometimes childlike freedom and creative innocence is not the right formula for coping. So the mystery here is to be able to get on top of your situation so well, so very well indeed, that you're not concerned with the past or the future. You're simply here and now, and you deal with the here and now, and you're creative around that. You know that you're creative. You can trust that you're able to cope with whatever comes up, and you're on top of everything that you needed to deal with. Only then, really, can you feel this childlike innocence, this bubbling up of the life force in a very soft and gentle way. If we're burdened by the worries that we have to put food on the table and deal with bills and deal with difficult relationship issues, if we're worried with all of these things, we're not going to be childlike. The children of God, blessed are the poor in spirits, for they shall be the children of God. The poor in spirit really means humble, not proud. Because we're talking here about a remedy for pride. This attitude of innocent bubbling is a remedy for not only anxiety and stress and so on, but also overblown self-importance. In fact, it's noticeable that the more sort of developed, evolved you get spiritually, the more childlike you become. Very often, great spiritual masters were quite naive in their presentation to the world, almost silly at times, and certainly innocent and spontaneous. So we're discussing this track of being able to cope with life so well that we can actually relax and let it all happen in the trust that we can respond appropriately. So how to do that? How do we cope with life well enough to be like children? I think the answer is also in the here and now. If something comes up, deal with it there and then. Deal with it fully and completely. So if you find you have a relationship question, something tricky is coming up between you, there's tension in the air, then confront it gently, softly, creatively and hopefully, but confront it. Don't go to bed. Don't go to sleep when you're in an argument. Deal with things before the end of the day. And if there's a bill to pay, pay it. And if there's something that you need to buy it, and so on. Just whatever comes up, deal with it immediately. And then, it might take you a little while to get on top of things, but then you know that there's nothing outstanding, because the only thing that comes to you is what's next, and you deal with it. What's next, and you deal with it. There's no need then to experience anxiety about the future. And whatever comes up is yours to deal with now and here. The only reason we have any heaviness about life is that there's concern that we can't cope, really. And that's a worry about the future. Whereas if actually we have coped with everything, we've dealt with everything, there is no anxiety, there's no stress, there's no push, nobody's expecting us to do or be or whatever something for them, then this lightness of being bubbles up in our lives. One of the most difficult issues that a lot of people have to deal with is cynicism. A lot of people are cynical. Most people are cynical. And cynicism is a dark energy. It's okay to be cautious. It's appropriate to understand that we're living in a dark world that tells lies all the time, when the power possessors have no sensitivity or compassion for the poorer and less capable. We are living in that world. It's a dangerous and in some ways horrible place. And yet, that's not cause for cynicism. And the wisdom teachers really don't give you much wisdom. They pass on dogma. Most teachers who purport to teach wisdom, they're just passing down words that have been passed down for centuries, and were never right in the first place, and they're certainly not right today. Most teaching is cause for great caution, but not cynicism. Despite teaching wrongly, most of these teachers are actually yearning for people to know God the way they know God. That's the motivation behind their teaching. And what can be wrong with that? That they are caught up in a belief that they were given and it's been around for a long time. They're caught up in that. They're not able to free themselves from dogma. Now, this is true for Christians and Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs. And it's also true for Wiccans, and it's also true for pagans. There is so much false teachings given in the name of new religion. It's for us individually to work out which bits of which religions inspire us and come up with a package of what we understand to be the best thing to do with our mind to approach God. And to be cynical about that is to be guaranteed not to find the answer. You will only ever find the answer that you're looking for. And a cynic is looking for validation of their cynicism. So, childlike innocence is a remedy for cynicism. And cynicism is a great disempowerment. And it is a dark energy that we cannot hold if we want to be free. So put aside your cynicism, be cautious about what you believe, of course, but not about how you feel. If you love, love. If then that leads to hurt, deal with the hurt. It's yours to deal with, so deal with it. You don't expect to love and not be hurt. It is in the nature of love to be hurt. Be bigger than the hurt. Love grows according to your decision about how to make it grow. And if you're cautious about love, then it's not really love, not what love can be. So take your cynicism and deal with it. That's one of the things that you have to deal with to cope with life. Life will never be okay if you're cynical. And Mary and the little lamb, she's playful. She's dealing with a young animal. She's taking care of it. She's feeding it. She's fascinated by it. And maybe that's a remedy for us too. Maybe we need to take care of an innocent animal or a garden or something that's not going to disappoint us.